3-1 parallel lines and transversals. First, what I want you to do is somewhere on a scratch sheet of paper, because this comes up, I want you to draw your best 3D prism. For example, like a shoebox on your paper or a cube. Yep. I'll give you a couple minutes to give that a shot. I just want to see you draw one. So, most of you have pretty good ones, better than ones I could do anyway. But the way I usually do it is I will make like just a rectangle like that, okay? And then just kind of offset of it, make another rectangle the same size, and then connect the corners. All right. So that's a really easy way to do it. If you want to do it that way, if you have your own way, you can do that.
That's mine.
Okay. So that's one way we can do it. Now, we're going to be talking about a little bit of these figures in just a second. I just want to make sure you can visualize it and draw one. So the first two vocab things we have here are something called skew lines and transversals. What skew lines are, they're lines that don't intersect and are not coplanar. What's coplanar mean? On the same plane. So they're lines that do not intersect, okay? They don't intersect, and they're not coplanar. And then we have a transversal. What a transversal is, it's a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane at different points. Crosses two other lines in a plane at different points. Okay. So these are two types of lines that we can have. We're going to talk about today, skew and transversals. So you're going to identify lines like, for example, in a cube and say, are these skew? And then lines in a plane, are these transversal? Okay. So in this figure, let's first, what are planes that are parallel to plane AEF? Remember, we named planes with 3 points, not on the same line. So plane AEF is that one right there on the side. What's a plane that's parallel to that plane? Parallel to that plane. Yeah. GBC. You could, yep, that would work. GBC. We're looking at this plane on the side here, right? GBC, BCH, CHG, any of those would work. That's a plane that's parallel to that, right? Those planes extend forever. They would never cross. Okay. In this figure, that's the only plane parallel to that one. Okay. So we have parallel planes there. Same figure. What are the segments that intersect AF? That segment right there. What are the segments that intersect AF? Now these are all segments. They're not lines. They don't go on forever, right? What are the segments that intersect this? Yes. AB is one. What are other ones? EF is one. FG is one. AD is one, right? Those are all ones that intersect that plane. Okay? Or intersect that line segment. Okay. All segments skew to AD. So AD is here. I want segments that are skew to that. So what's the definitions of skew again? They do not intersect, and they're what about in the plane? They're not coplanar. So an example of a skew line, for example, would be this one. Right? That's one. There's a bunch of them here. Okay? That's one. That's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. Right? Those are all skew to that line because they don't intersect and they're not in the same plane. Okay? Versus parallel is in the same plane. Right? Those would all be line segments that are skewed to that one. So those ones right there. So again, just in different figure, a plane that's parallel to RST. So identify that. Would that be A, B, C, or D? Without me highlighting them here. Yeah, right. Which one? Yeah, C, right? The plane WXY. WXY, so the bottom of this box here is parallel to RST, top one here. Those are parallel planes. Which of those segments intersects YZ? Well, that would be A, XY, right? YZ is this one here. Okay. XY would intersect at Y there. Okay. We've seen those before. Name a segment that's parallel to RX. RX is here. Which of those would be parallel? It'd be TZ, right? Those are parallel to each other. Okay. Name a segment that's skew to TZ. Okay. Out of those, we would say XW out of those would be skew because those can't be in the same plane, right? Those aren't in the same plane. They do not cross. Those would be skew. And I might have said that on the other. The reason we didn't say RX is because those could be, they share that same plane, right? So skew, they're going different direction here. They couldn't share a plane because this one's going off in the other direction. Does that make sense? Good question. Okay. So those we call skew. Okay. Now we're going to talk about transversals here. Transversals, lines that intersect. Okay. So in this map here, identify the sets of line to which V is a transversal. So I'm looking at line V here. So I don't know which of these lines is V a transversal to. We would say that would be W, U, and Z. Because if V extends forever, it would intersect all of these lines. Right? So we would say U, W, and sorry, I forgot X too. U, W, X, and Z. U, W, X, and Z. Because if we extend V, it would intersect all of those, right? It would not be a transversal to Y. What type of relationship does it have with Y? It's parallel, right? They never intersect. Okay, good. And for example here, identify the sets of line to which Y is a transversal. So Y is right here. We would say that would be U, W, and Z. Same thing because it's parallel to V. And X. Sorry, I forgot X. I keep forgetting that one. Parallel, it is a transversal to those lines. Same thing to which U is a transversal. We would say that's V, X, Y, and Z. Okay. Because if you extend them forever, they would intersect. Okay. So looking at this different figure, identify the sets of lines to which A is a transversal. Okay. Well, it would be a transversal to C, right? They intersect there. To F would be a transversal to F. Yeah. What about D? Yep, they would intersect. E? Yep. I would say B is not because it would be parallel to that one, right? So D, C, E, and F would be a transversal, be parallel to B. Any questions with that? Transversal lines that intersect? These we will use for the rest of the year. These are transversals and angles. We are going to kind of beat a dead horse here and do these over and over again. Okay, we're going to look at a lot of examples of these. The homework's mainly made up. These are different types of angle relationships. Okay, so if we look at this figure here, here's my examples. We're going to take this really slow here. Okay, exterior angles. Exterior means what? On the outside. Okay, interior means on the inside. So if we look at this figure, all the angles that are exterior are 1, 2, 8, and 7, right? Because they're on the outside. Okay, these angles here, 1, 2, 8, and 7. Those are all exterior angles. Okay, that's the first type. Then we have interior angles. Those would be all the angles that are on the inside. Would be 4, 3, 5, and 6. See how those are on the inside of this transversal and these lines? Those we call interior angles. So first we have exterior and interior. Then we have consecutive interior. What's it mean to be consecutive? Like consecutive numbers means what? Yeah, back to back, one right after the other, right? So consecutive interior are interior angles that are back to back, or one right next to another. So 4 and 5 would be consecutive because they're right next to each other, right? Or it's consecutive. One interior, then the next interior. Those we call consecutive interior. Also, 3 and 6, consecutive interior. Okay? So based on just this figure, we have a bunch of different angle types here, angle relationships. Consecutive interior, interior angles that are back to back next to each other. Okay? Alternate exterior. Now to be alternate, does that mean the same side or the other side? Other side, right? Alternate. So alternate exterior angles, what would be the alternate exterior angle to 1? 7, because it's on the other side of the transversal, right? Those would be what we call alternate exterior. Same with angle 2, and which angle? 8. They're exterior angles that are on alternate sides of that transversal. Okay? Alternate exterior. So 1 and 7 there, alternate exterior. 2 and 8 are alternate exterior. Okay. Then we have alternate interior. Alternate again, opposite sides of the transversal on the interior. So what would be the alternate interior of angle 4? Angle 6, right? They're both interior angles on opposite sides of that transversal. And then we have angle 3. Its alternate interior would be angle 5. Alternate interior, alternate sides of the transversal, interior angles. Okay. Then the last type is something we have corresponding. Corresponding is just one you kind of have to recognize or remember, I mean. Corresponding are angles like this. We would call 1 and 5 corresponding. They're on the same side of the transversal, but they're not the linear pair of angles. For example, you can kind of think of it as 1, skip the linear pair, and then the next angle. So 1 and 5 are corresponding. There's a bunch of different corresponding. 2 and 6 are corresponding. Remember, 2 and 3 make up a linear pair. They lie on a straight line. Those two add up to 180. And then it's the next one. So it's 1 exterior, 1 interior. Okay, but they're on the same sides of the transversal. We have a couple other pairs of corresponding. Angle 4 and angle 8. Those are corresponding. One on the interior, one on the exterior, same side of the transversal. Those we call corresponding. Okay. And then also angle 3 and angle 7. This one here, angle 3 and angle 7. Those would be corresponding. Okay, one on the interior, one on the exterior, but it's not the linear pair. Yeah?
Is there a consecutive exterior?
There's not consecutive exterior. Good question. Because there can't be any angles that are both on the exterior, they're both consecutive. See what I'm saying? Good question. Okay. Those are the only types we have here. Okay. And there's a bunch of different properties about these angles, but today we're just working on naming them. Okay. Based on a figure, can you tell me what the alternate interior? Can you tell me what the alternate exterior? Can you tell me what the consecutive interior? And so on. Like I said, we will use this the rest of the year. You will see this a lot. Okay, so we're going to get good today at naming these angles. Any questions at this point with this? We're just now going to go through a bunch of examples looking at this figure and say what are the alternate exterior, what are the alternate interior, and so on. Okay. Remember, we name angles. In this case, they're just numbered angles, so it's angle 5, angle 6. But we name them with 3 points, with the middle point being the vertex. Like A, B, C would be an angle like this. A, B, C. Okay? That's very important that we start naming them with 3 points because we're going to have a bunch of points on these figures that we have to name the alternate interior or angle A, B, C, and D, F or something like that. Okay. Identify angle 7 and angle 3. So let's look at those and find out which type they are. Angle 7 and angle 3. Now they're not consecutive, right? Because consecutive, 3 and 6 would be consecutive interior. Right? And if you kind of visualize that that transversal wasn't there, or that line wasn't there, I have a transversal, two lines. What type of angles are these? Yeah, they're corresponding, right? One on the exterior, one on the interior. Okay, and they're not the linear pair of angles. Those are corresponding. Corresponding is probably the hardest one to recognize. Okay, very good. Those we would call corresponding. Okay, angle 8 and angle 2. Angle 8 and angle 2. Again, we're just dealing with those lines right now. What type of relationship are those? Yeah, Chaplain. Those would be alternate exteriors, alternate sides of the transversal, exterior of those lines. Okay. Very good. 4 and 11. Angle 4 is here. Angle 11 is here. Again, this time you're going to kind of have to visualize that not being there. Okay. What type of angle relationships would 4 and 11 be? Yeah. Those are corresponding again, right? One on the interior, one on the exterior, same side of the transversal. Yeah, those are corresponding. 7 and 1. Angle 7 is here. Oops. Angle 1 is here. Again, that one's not there. Alternate exterior, alternate sides of the transversal, exterior angles. Very good. 3 and 9. 3 is here. 9 is here. Again, that one's not there. What would say those are? Alternate interior. Interior angles, alternate sides of the transversal. Good. And 7 and 10. Those two angles right there. Consecutive interior, right? Consecutive angles on the interior. Very good. Okay, look through this one. Keep it to yourself a second. We're going to give it a shot. 4 and 5. A, B, C, or D.
D.
Yes, those are consecutive interior. Very good. 7 and 6, or sorry, 7 and 9. So look at that picture, 7 and 9. Without me highlighting them there. Yeah, Brady. Yep, those are corresponding, 7 and 9. Good. 4 and 7. Yeah, so Joe. Those are alternate exterior. Good. And 2 and 11. Drew. Yep, those are alternate interior. Good. Okay. So most of the homework assignment is just labeling these types of angles. Given a figure, can you label them? 3 and 5. Yeah, great. Those are corresponding. Good. Okay, so we got those down. 6 and 9 would be alternate exterior. Okay. And that's the end of this section. Very good.